right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is officially the off season. Sorry about that. I started about 10 minutes ago, but I had to restart. My daughter called. I had to pick up the phone and tell her that I'm going live. I'll call her back afterwards. So she understood. But hey, it is the off season. Today is officially the day where the 49ers packed up their bags, cleaned their locker rooms, and headed out for the off season. And with that, that means it is officially smoke season. It's that time of the year where you're going to hear stupid rumors. You're going to hear all these, fake trade proposals like, oh, what if the 49ers do this? Should they re-sign him? Should they do this? Should they blah, 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 blah? You're going to hear a lot of those rumors and fake news and a lot of reports. You're going to see players, jockeying for position on their contracts or free agency, and you're going to see them testing the waters. We're going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk. There's going to be a lot of rumors on Brandon Aiyuk. There already is, his family getting involved and saying this, that, and the other. Brandon Aiyuk has not publicly said he wants out or wants a trade or whatever the case is. We have to remember he's on a fifth-year contract. But with all that being said, it is a tough position to be in because here we are, another offseason, and not a Super Bowl championship to show for it. We were so close. This was the closest we probably have gotten in those 29 years. We were right there. We had it, had the Chiefs on the ropes. We had Patrick Mahomes fighting for his life, backed up, back against the wall. And we had him in overtime. We gave him too many opportunities. We talked about all the issues, the soft coverage at the end with Steve Wilks and those issues. We talked about the fumble. That was huge, killed momentum. The offense was going hardcore during that first drive. Would have been a different game had you get a touchdown out of that. Block PAT was huge. The punt gaff, that was massive. Not capitalizing on turnovers and the Dre Greenlaw injury. All those issues were huge. Gave them too many opportunities. End of the day, we just couldn't do enough. It was very heartbreaking. And here we are, another offseason. We're going to talk about it. But guess what? There's no place I'd rather be than here with you all to talk about the offseason. We're going to do it all the time, almost every day. I mean, I'm going to take some breaks here and there. It's the offseason. I need a little mental break. And I think Tabor Pepper, he said it the best today. He just tweeted this earlier, about an hour ago. This is what Tabor Pepper said. And, it really hits. The mood really hits. I don't know if you guys can see the image, but I'll read it to you. He says, I'm so fucking tired, bro. He goes, mentally, physically, emotionally. My heart aches for my teammates and coaches. Next year seems impossible to think about, but that's how it felt at the end of 21 and 22. We're going to get some time off. Another year of learning in the books. And that's pretty much how we all feel. Like, we're frustrated. We're mentally drained. Maybe not as physically drained as them, but it is a grind for like people like me that go to work and put in all this effort on the content. We want to see this team win a Super Bowl. All you fans that go to the games, cheer your heads up, work to make the money to go to the games. And we just want to see this team win a Super Bowl. It's tough. It is very tough, right? Man, so we're going to talk about all those things and then some. And the big story of the day, we're just going to get right to it, is Brandon Aiyuk. Yesterday, my boy Brandon, he sent the internet in flames, right? He tweeted out, I posted this. He goes, don't forget what got you there, right? Don't forget what got you there. With the eyes, little side-eye emoji. And everybody's like, oh, God, is Brie asking for what's going on? Don't forget what got you there. He explained it today. And his girl, Rochelle, she got chilled a little bit. The family members were talking. His brother or friend on Instagram was like, oh, going to Vegas. He's not playing for the Niners, da-da-da-da-da. He kind of started stirring the pot, just like Deebo Samuel's brother did. I took nothing out of it. A lot of people were going crazy. It went posted on Twitter, and people were running with it. Oh, my God. Then his girl, this is what she said.
Well, okay, this might have been the last day we touched foot on Levi Stadium, me and Braylon, because we might not be out here next season. Well, okay, this might have been the last day we touched foot on Levi Stadium, me and Braylon, because we might not be out here next season.
So you got to remember, Deebo Samuel did pretty much the same thing with his family and stuff. Maybe not to the extent, but his brother was posted on social media. He's going to be gone. He's going here. He's going there. People run with it. It's part of the leverage. I'm not worried about it until Brandon Aiyuk specifically himself says, yeah, I want out. I'm not going to be here. I'm not worried. You got to remember he's under his 5th-year option, right? 5th-year option. He's going to be on the team. Now they have to extend him. That's the whole point. I don't think they're going to get to the point where they have to trade him or anything. They're going to have to figure out the extension. And, the Niners, it's going to be long, drawn out, dramatic saga of the offseason. Hopefully they can do it early, but that's not the case. Fred Warner, Fred Warner, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, all of those went well into the offseason to the midnight hour. We were stressing out. I think it's going to be the same. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they can get it done early. But again, they do have them under a fifth-year option. It's not like they have to do it right away. There is free agency around the corner in March and the draft. So that's what the 49ers do. They sit back. They wait. They start negotiating. I think they'll get it done, but this is very early. You're going to see so many rumors, man. And again, it is leverage for the 49ers. Exactly. 49ers media hit it right. It's leverage season. My man Ted Beats says she's clout chasing since it's payday. You got to realize people are doing this for views and likes in the story. And there's going to be a lot of crazy things in the next couple of weeks. Is this exactly what's happened with all the other players, specifically Deebo? And Brandon Aiyuk I think, is going to follow the Deebo method. They're boys. They're locked in. I kind of get the sense that Deebo kind of mentored him and what he needs to do for a contract. So don't be surprised if Brandon Aiyuk scrubs his social media, deletes his pics. He's going to do the whole thing. He's going to do all that stuff because that's what Deebo did. Deebo is his guy, and I can almost bet, I don't know if I'm going to guarantee, but I can bet pretty much that I would probably say about 85% of my mind thinks Brandon Aiyuk's going to go out there, scrub his social stuff when the time comes. Not yet, but it's going to happen. Now, speaking of Brandon Aiyuk, he did talk to the media. Let's play the clips, right?
Brandon, what are you going to remember most about this particular roster this past season?
Just guys that came in to work to be champions every single day.
Brandon, is this the hardest postseason loss you have experienced?
That's all I got.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah.
Brandon, there's been some stuff on social media. Is there a certain message that you want to get out there as you kind of enter this offseason and there might be contract talks?
A certain message? No.
Is your hope to remain with the 49ers moving forward?
If that's the right move, yeah.
What would that right move look like for you?
Being a champion.
Brandon, at what point are you at this, right now?
So there you have it, man. Brandon Aiyuk was very emotional today. It was hard for him to get the words out. He knows it's the end of the season. They were, so close to being champions. It's tough. These go away, goodbye, interviews. It's the end of they just played the Super Bowl. You just finished this, you're emotional. You lost the Super Bowl and you have to sit there in front of the media. I felt bad for the guy. And then they asked him, of course, the social media, and he goes, they asked him, does he want to remain a Niner? He goes, if it's the right move. He says, if it's the right move. They asked him about what would that look like. And he says, being a champion. He said they fought so hard to be a champion. And now he wants to just be a champion. Like, it's going to be a long off season, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't say he's not coming back. He didn't say he's leaving or anything. It's just, he's emotional, man. And that's what it is. You look at that video and you're like, damn, man, he was just like trying to fight back the emotions. And that's what it is. It's not him saying he's not going to be here or whatever the case is. He's just frustrated, man. And you got a camera in your face, a mic on your, in your face. That's part of the game, obviously. But, this is one of those things where, it's very unfortunate and you just got to hope for the best. And I think they'll figure it out. All these guys got to process. They want to go home with their families. They got to kind of spend time to kind of just collect themselves. Like Tabor said, it's mentally, physically, emotionally draining. It's draining. It's draining for us as fans. Like, I know for me, It's draining. I came home after the Super Bowl. I was like, yesterday I was like so tired. I couldn't wait to put my head on my bed and just go to sleep. It's been a wild week. I could only imagine the players having to train, go in the games, play, and then losing at the biggest stage. It's tough, man. So I get it. Brandon Ayuk was very, very, just frustrated. And it's not just him, all of them. If you watch these press conferences, they were just like, they were sick, bro. They were like, man, oh man. They were really, really, really down in the dumps. They were frustrated. And I get it. They should be. I was down in the dumps. We all are down in the dumps. Everybody's processing this differently. And you can't tell someone how to process it. You can't tell someone not to be angry. You can't tell someone not to be sad. You can't tell someone not to be numb. Everybody processes things differently, not just in sports, in anything. I work in rehab. I see people deal with injuries on a daily basis, and everybody handles it different. Some people have a lot of pain, right? Pain is subjective, and I can't tell them, oh, don't have pain. Stop being a little bit, baby. Some people have pain, and it is what it is. You just have to be empathetic. You got to have empathy for them. Some people don't have pain. Some people are very depressed in their condition. No matter what it is in life, people have emotions for every little thing. That's why emotions exist, and you can't tell someone how their emotions should feel. So it's frustrating. It's tough. I do think we will get him back in terms of an extension. Again, he is under a fifth-year option, so he's going to play unless he wants to hold out, but that's not smart. My man, Life of Austin says, why did Fletcher Cox go off like that? He's salty, man. A lot of players went off. Fletcher Cox said some nonsense. I don't even care. I don't pay attention. He's mad. We talked about it the other day. It is what it is. It doesn't move my radar. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said something the other day. He says, why is everybody in my mentions or nobody's in my mentions? Players are going to talk. When teams lose the Super Bowl that they're salty about, they're going to talk. Chauncey Gardner, team got clapped. He talked. Sauce Gardner didn't even play him. This guy was talking trash. So a lot of players are talking trash. It's the offseason. People want to stay relevant. It is what it is. So speaking of staying relevant, again, the 49ers are always going to be in people's minds and mouths and stuff like that. They get their coaches poached and they get their players stolen every single year. It's no different. So speaking of coaches, we got to talk about one of the biggest topics of the day, other than Brandon Aiyuk. Steve Wilks. A lot of people threw Steve Wilks under the gun. After the Super Bowl, a lot of people are blaming him for the loss. I mean, there's definitely a lot of factors that went into this game. But the defense, they were balling in that first half. Defensive line was getting pressure, but they still couldn't defend the read option. That's something they've always had trouble with. Bosa and everybody just couldn't get Mahomes down. Soft coverage in the end was their Achilles. You were 10 yards off of players the whole game, and you were given or that whole second half or really the fourth quarter and the overtime, they were 10 yards back, and you were giving them free yards, free catches. Travis Kelce was open a lot because they had Oren Burks on him, and they addressed the Steve Wilks situation. So let's talk. Let's see if I can have this.
Wilks, have you guys spoken? Will, to his stage and the stage in his career and where you want the team to go? Is there any reason to think he won't be back next season?
No, that's stuff that, we'll talk about a ton as this week goes. We'll talk about a ton in the offseason. Where we want our team to be, our defense, our offense, special teams, and that's a lot of conversations, a lot of film, a lot of personnel or salary cap things we got to discuss, drafts. So, no, we're just haven't even watched the game yet, to tell you the truth.
So, yeah, Kyle Shanahan says he's got to have conversations. They got to look at the film. He hasn't even watched the Super Bowl. I don't have the extra clip to that, but there was another clip after that initial question where he says he does expect all the coaches to be back. He says he expects all the coaches to be back. Although one of their coaches, the assistant offensive line coach, say that 3 times fast. The assistant offensive line coach was hired by the Raiders to be their offensive line coach. So they did lose one coach, but what he's saying is all the coaches that are not poached from the team are expected to come back to the team. That's what Kyle said. But if you listen to him right there, he still needs to have a conversation. He wants to sit down with them, study the film. He wants to make sure there wasn't anything, that Wilks did that was like really bad. He's got to look at it. I think that Steve Wilks, though, the defense might have been tired, but playing cover 2 zone and being in a prevent defense wasn't the move against Patrick Mahomes. Play press man. You have 2 of the best press man corners in the league. Diamond Lenore, he's a physical dog. You have Mooney Ward. He's known for his man coverage skills. Press him up. I didn't like the scheme change there. But I do agree with Jimmy here. He says How can you blame Wilks if Kyle is an offensive genius? Shouldn't have been able to put up more than 20 points, 22 to be exact. I agree. The offense sputtered, especially in that third quarter. They were punt, 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 punt. They didn't get anything moving in the third quarter. So I agree. Offense has to take some blame. And Kyle did say that, he should execute better and this and that. But he said he was happy with his game plan in the end. We'll talk about the overtime situation because that whole fiasco has kind of spun its web. Kyle Juszczyk today kind of backed up Kyle. Kyle explained his overtime situation and everything. It was a wild game and just so many different things happened. But I agree the 49ers should have scored more than 22 points, in this game. And if you really look at the 49ers, though, take a look at this. There is a stat I want to post. So in the playoffs, the third quarter was horrible play calling. In the playoffs, the 49ers allowed 25.7 points per game. In the regular season, they allowed 17.5 points per game. Now, obviously, the playoffs are tougher. You're playing big opponents, but it doesn't matter. If you're a champion, you need to handle business and play good defense. And their defense wasn't up to par compared to the regular season. Now, again, they probably played some really poor teams in the regular season that shifts that up. You're playing all good teams, so it's going to go up. But still, you let up more points, you got to score a favorable amount of more. And that was, a fault there. But both sides of the ball weren't 100% perfect. There's going to be blame on both sides of the ball. But is Steve Wilks a defensive coordinator that's going to win a championship? That's the question. Okay, Steve Wilks, maybe they're scapegoating him, whatever the case is. If you guys believe that Steve Wilks isn't the problem, this is what you have to ask yourself when you sit down and think about the Steve Wilks situation. Is Steve Wilks the defensive coordinator that's going to scheme up against Andy Reid or whoever they're playing against? Let's say they get to the Super Bowl again. Do you think Steve Wilks is a championship level defensive coordinator? And if your answer is no, then you need to get one that you think is. And I don't think Steve Wilks is a championship caliber defensive coordinator. I think he's a good defensive coordinator, but for the 49ers, I don't think he's a championship caliber defensive coordinator. 100% I don't. And it's okay if you don't think he is, because I don't. But if you think he is, it's okay, right, to say that. That is what you have to look at. And I think that's what Kyle has to sit back, reflect, watch the film, have the conversation. Does Kyle think Steve Wilks is a championship level defensive coordinator? I don't know. Is Kyle Shanahan a championship level head coach himself? I don't know. He hasn't been able to win it. He's so damn close, but he can't he can't get over the hump. We know Andy Reid and him have been kind of a similar story. Andy Reid, every single year, Andy Reid got to this point where it was like, okay, we're going to get there. And then boom, they didn't do it. You know what I mean? And then 15 years later, finally, he found a quarterback, and that was what he needed, right? So Andy Reid, let's pull up this graphic. If you look at this graphic, it's crazy. It's almost like looking into a parallel universe. It's like the same two guys in terms of coaching. Look at this. Andy Reid, in 2001, he went to the NFC Championship game, lost. 2002, NFC Championship game, lost. 2003, NFC Championship game, lost. 2004, Super Bowl, lost. 2019, he finally won his first Super Bowl 15 years later. Kyle Shanahan, 2019, Super Bowl loss. 2021, NFC Championship loss. 2022, NFC Championship loss. 2023, Super Bowl loss. I hope it's not 15 years from now, but what I'm saying is it's crazy because those two guys are very similar in their career paths. Like, they get so close, but then they can't close it out. So I'm not saying that Kyle Shanahan can ever win one. I'm not saying he's not a championship level coach, but I mean, it begs to ask the question, like, will he do it? Will he do it with the 49ers? I don't know. He's so close. I don't think there's another coach that can get us there unless it's Belichick. And I don't think there's another coach that can maybe figure it out and win it unless it's Belichick. But does Belly want to come to the Niners? I don't know. And would they get rid of Kyle Shanahan? That's a huge loss. He'll go to another team and be a great coach. Kyle is a good coach, but maybe he needs an offensive coordinator to help him take some pressure off of his shoulders. That's my thought. And he needs a better defensive coordinator. Again, Steve Wilks is not a horrible defensive coordinator, but in my opinion, I don't think he's a championship level defensive coordinator. And that is the key. If you have a championship level defensive coordinator, you're going to be able to out scheme and out coach the other offensive side of the ball. And that's where the 49ers failed. They did not have a defensive coordinator that was good enough to stop Andy Reid. Absolutely not. They could not stop Andy Reid. This man was in his bag. He was genius in the second half, and he has Patrick Mahomes, and they gave him too many opportunities. Christine says they need to fix that right side. Absolutely, they do. How much better is this team going to get? Kyle, just simply win the big game. And that's the question, and that's what the offseason is all about. What do they need to do to get better? What do they need to do to get better, guys? What do they need to do? Offensive line, Christine says, right? We need a better offensive line. Absolutely, right? 2 years in a row now. Offensive line on the right side sells. Hassan Reddick last year comes in, crashes the gate. Boom, there goes Brock Purdy and his elbow. Unbelievable. This year, boom, game on the line, overtime. You have a chance to hit Brandon Aiyuk wide open. And he probably could have hit, Brock probably could have hit Jennings had he had a little bit more time to set and plant. But Chris Jones barreling down his face, crashing the gates because he went unblocked. The best defensive player on the Chiefs going unblocked, missed assignments on the right side. Hello, fix that O-line. Please prioritize the offensive line. Whatever you do this offseason, go and get an offensive line stud at right tackle. Because guess what? I know Trent Williams is coming back next year, but guess what? He ain't getting any younger. And when he's gone, he gone. Colton McKivitz sold, but actually Feliciano said that it was Burford. And I don't know if you guys saw this whole, dude, John Feliciano's timeline. If you're on, go to look at this man's timeline. It is absolutely insane. Like his timeline, first, he goes out there and he throws Spencer Burford under the bus. We're going to talk about this is why we brought up the right side of the line. He throws Spencer Burford under the bus. Then he said he's drunk and he apologized. And then Jalen Carter, Eagles defensive lineman, crybaby, calls him out and says that John Feliciano was sending death threats to him on the sidelines and he was mocking him. And then Feliciano says that Jalen Carter was telling him he's going to murder him and his family. And then he posted a DM of Jalen Carter sending him a picture of his family and his kids. It is wild, but I digress. My whole point is, listen to this is what Feliciano posted yesterday. And of course it made the rounds on social media. He basically says, Burford missed the assignment. He was sticking up for Colton McKivitz. Burford opens up his phone. He's like, whoa, I opened up the phone to this. Sheesh. And then Feliciano said, oh man, I'm sorry. I was drunk. I should have handled this, a different way. I shouldn't have called you out, da-da-da-da-da. But the whole point is they should have handled that offline. They shouldn't have been on Twitter. But the point is that right side is a mess. Look, they're already beefing with each other. There's drama. Feliciano's a free agent. Colton McKivitz definitely wasn't good. Burford missed an assignment. Feliciano was hurt. He couldn't even be in that spot. So that whole right side is in complete shambles. Shambles, man. And Enrique says, when Feliciano went out, we hurt more on the right side. Agree. I liked Feliciano this year. He was very good. He was a solid player on the right side. Burford, he was inconsistent this year. Unfortunately for him, he kind of took a step down in his second year. And he did split a lot with Feliciano. And he was hurt. And unfortunately, that was an issue. So Burford, he didn't play great. Feliciano called him out. And Colton McKivitz was definitely not good. So when you had two guys that were very inconsistent on that right side, that was your Achilles heel. And I know a lot of people in the chat said it this year. They said, hey, look, the offensive line on the right side is very poor. And that is going to be something that bites us in the ass. And it absolutely bit this team in the ass. Steven says, Burford doesn't look strong enough for right guard. I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is. Because there's sometimes I'm like, man, Burford's really good. But again, it just, to have elite talent on that spot is to be what we need, right? You need elite guys. This guy's still young in his second year. Like, I know he's still young and developing and whatnot. He's had some really strong moments, but this is the Super Bowl. You got Chris Jones. You need to do whatever it takes to stop that man. And they did it, bottom line. And he was barreling down. I mean, Brock had no time. He just had to throw it up there. If he would have had maybe 1.5 more seconds to throw, he would have been able to set, plant, boom, scan, Aiyuk, touchdown, easy money. But they didn't have that time. So, yeah, he is. Burford has the size. I agree. Media, my man, 49ers Media says, we need to start spending money on offensive line, just like the D-line. I agree with that. 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Let's see. There's a couple. Let's get to this one here, and then we'll get to some more videos. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but today, Julius, I'm not trading Brandon Aiyuk. They're going to sign him back. This is a question right here that I want to ask for you guys. Should you get Chase Young back on the team? Do you think the 49ers should get Chase Young back? Nick Bosa says, I definitely want Chase Young back. That's his boy. Those two guys are locked in. Do you guys want Chase Young back? I don't know. Personally, he was inconsistent. I'm glad he stepped up in the Super Bowl, but I think they can get two younger guys for cheaper. Two guys that can kind of step in, maybe a defensive tackle and a defensive end. They're going to need defensive tackles now that, Armstead's dealing with an injury. Clelin Ferrell's injured, and we don't know if he's coming back. So I'd rather get one edge, one defensive tackle for the price of Chase Young, right? But if Chase Young's going to want a lot of money, I'm not going to want to bring him back. Red Eye says Burford is a dumbass. Said he played by instinct instead of scheme. You missed Chris Jones, the best player in the Chiefs D-line. Keep the mofo on your right and your sights at all times. Yeah, I agree with that. You can't play on instinct. You have to understand what's going on. You have to make sure you are blocking their best defensive player at all times. 100%. That was my point. Is whoever's on that right side had one job, and that one job is to not let Chris Jones come down the line, and they failed miserably on it. Bottom line, I agree. Russell says, I think we should sign him a 1-year prove it. Myth Vibe says, hell no, unless it's a prove it deal. Bro barely puts in effort. Yeah, smart. Burford should have known Chris Jones is the best player. It's just throwback. I agree. Let's see. Might be financially impossible to re-sign Chase Young. Probably. Depends. Julius says, I want to bring back Aziz, Solomon Thomas, and Jordan Willis. I'm down with Aziz. They're going to need a linebacker because Dre Greenlaw dealing with the Achilles. Solomon Thomas, pass. I mean, cool guy. We had him enough years. I don't want to run through that again. I love the guy. Nice guy. Met him many times. Cool dude. Jordan Willis, solid depth. I wouldn't be mad if they brought him back. I thought they should have brought him back this year. He knows the system. He can play. Special teams legend. But Aziz, absolutely think they should bring him in. But keep an eye out for D'Amico Ryans. I think he's going to snag Aziz Al-Shahir. So, yeah, I love it. Aziz, 1-year deal. He should be available. Yeah, he's going to be a free agent. But again, D'Amico Ryans probably going to snatch him up. So, Solomon Thomas, Tej Beats, LMFAO. Solomon Thomas, please stop. I needed that laugh. He says Solomon Thomas. Yo, I love Solly. That's my guy. But I don't want him seeing anywhere near this. Can you imagine if they had Solomon Thomas and Javon Kinlaw on the same defensive line? They bring them both back. Oh, my God. Speaking of Kinlaw, do you guys want Javon Kinlaw back? He had a heck of a, healthy season. It was actually a healthy season. He played pretty good. I'm not going to say he was an elite in any sense of the name. First full healthy season. He contributed. He was out there playing his butt off. I mean, he played really good in the Super Bowl, actually. He had some good film out there. I watched that. I was like, oh, Kinlaw was looking good. And I just remember seeing him making good plays during the Super Bowl. He was very healthy. I don't know if I want him back just because of all the years of heartache and can he stay healthy again? But I'm happy for the guy. I hope he finds a job somewhere. I think he will, especially this year. He's very healthy. But hey, Kinlaw, if you can get a 1-year prove it deal for us, I'd be cool with it. I wouldn't be mad if he came back for a 1-year cheap deal, but nothing long term, man. The injuries really stacked up. But I think he really absolutely proved himself this year. He was very healthy, and I was so happy for that. I was really happy for the guy. So prove it deal. Yes, sir. Prove it deal. My man, Ant-Man. Got some haters in the chat. He says, Debo has cried every season he's been eliminated. It's true, man. I cried too, though. So don't worry. I cry. Debo cries. We all cry a little bit when the Niners lose. So Debo Jennings needs a deal, $5 to $6 million a season. I think they could lock him up for that. This is a guy who's a restricted free agent, and they can match any deal right now. So whatever team offers him, the Niners could match. And I hope to God they offer Juwan Jennings whatever other team matches. Because listen, this guy's been so important, underrated, third down monster. And he's a great block. He's more than just a third down receiver, a possession receiver. In the playoffs, this man stepped up like no other. You know what I mean? He would have been the Super Bowl MVP had they won that game. Jennings needs to return. If the 49ers don't bring back Jennings, I'm going to be sick to my stomach. When's the parade? I'm not sure, my boy. I'm going to get you out of here, though. Let's see. Where's this guy at? Guy's on another fan's team. This is when you know you're pathetic, when you're on another team that you don't cheer for, and you're trolling. So good stuff, man. You got no life, absolutely. Let's bring up some more of these videos. Let's see. Actually, I want to bring up these things. Brandon Aiyuk today was posting his memories. He was reminiscing on the season, Super Bowl jersey, Christmas jersey, Philly jersey. Look at the effort he put in on Thanksgiving, or on Philly. Maybe not as much, targets on Thanksgiving. Super Bowl, clean jersey. Christmas, clean jersey. They lost those games. Interesting. Look at Philly, though. Dirty jersey. He put in a lot of work. They won that game. Thanksgiving, they won that game. A little wrinkled up. Could have been a little bit more. He had all those game balls. Look at that. He needed one more to compete the TD triangle. Brandon Aiyuk sending a little subliminals. He wants to be back. I know he'll be back, but we shall see. Let's take a look at what Big Trent.
We had words, between us, but I don't know how it can be on his shoulders. But Brock's a guy. He's a hell of a player. Will be for a long time. He's the face of the franchise.
Called him Trent Williams says Brock Purdy's the face of the franchise.
Trent Christian told us that looking you in the eye specifically after the Super Bowl was a shocked. Have you reflected on what it's been like to play with him this season?
Yeah, I mean, this season, last season, he's the best in the world. So playing with a guy like that, I mean, obviously it gives you a chance to do something special.
Okay.
Any more daunting to try it again next year?
No. I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, the feelings that shall pass, and once spring roll around, everybody gonna have that same hunger to get back and have a chance to try to win the Super Bowl.
That's tough, man. You could just see like how painful Trent Williams is. I feel like Trent was, he was trying to be positive and say positive things, but you can tell in his the vibes, his mannerisms, just the way he talked, he wasn't feeling it. And I don't blame him, man. These guys, they went through so much, man, and I feel bad for all of these players. You know what I mean?
Is there a part of this game or the decision making or anything that you kind of look back on more than anything else and second guess yourself for?
I mean, like I've told you guys before, anytime you lose, every decision you made, you make a decision every play throughout that game. So when you lose, you'll go over that stuff always throughout the entire offseason, through cut-ups, through everything. But, there was nothing that I thought in the moment that I did wrong. It was everything. I was proud of that and like the thought process behind everything.
Wow.
Some of the players after the game said they did not know the new rules for overtime. And Brock just said that he kind of went to Brian right at the start of overtime for kind of a refresher of, okay, these are the rules, right? Was it important, do you think, for the players to know the new rule as it pertains to overtime in the playoffs?
Well, yeah, I mean, we did say, and we told everyone as we were waiting for the coin toss, hey, review everyone with them, make sure they're sure before we go out. So we asked the position coach to do that, but I didn't cover it in a meeting on the Super Bowl week. I don't think that changes anything. We did it with our analytics department. We decided that going into the playoffs. I think you guys know how I've explained how I make decisions with that stuff in the past. I take all the information I can get, especially ones I haven't been in, and our analytics felt that was the best way to go. But as you guys know, I don't always just go with that. I take into account what they say, what they think is right, and then I go off my gut in the heat of battle. And I knew what they felt going into it. And when I think about that during the moments I have to make the decision, I think the type of game it was did match what they felt was the best way to do. It did seem more like a field goal game. And our defense had been out there for a real long time right before that. So I didn't feel at all to override that at the time.
Some other context, I believe we just closed, I think it was 11-play drive that we just closed the game with. And when you're playing Mahomes, you're chasing him a lot, so there's a lot of effort that's expended. I think, the context from there is you need some time to get fresh. And so all those things play into it. And those were sound decisions.
Wow. It's a lot to kind of digest there with Kyle Shanahan. So, he talked about how he had no regrets. He doesn't think he made any bad decisions in his mind. He thinks whatever he did was perfect. So he was happy with his game plan. And he says he really didn't need to talk to the players during the playoffs about the overtime rule. So he kind of kept it on his own. He put all the burden on himself. I wish he would have talked to him a little bit more because, Brock did say that Brian Greasy talked to him and, the players were asking for a refresher. I feel like that still is something you should, go over. I get it. They still have to score because Kyle Juszczyk talked about how it doesn't matter. You still have to go out there and score the ball, this and that. It's still, you're in this moment. That's just something less that you have to think about. If you're more prepared going into it, it's just less stress on your mind because otherwise now you're like, oh wait, what are the rules? Oh wait, what was I can't remember. Oh, can I have a refresher? You're not supposed to be worrying about all that. You're supposed to be worried about, okay, we need to go out there, focus up. You don't need to be worried about, okay, God, what were the rules? What were the rules? What were the rules? That's why I still don't agree with Kyle on that. I mean, you can hate me on that. I know Kyle Juszczyk and they all kind of spun it in. It doesn't matter. You still got to go out there and play and score the ball, blah, 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 blah. I still think that you just put a lot of pressure on yourself as a team. That's my take on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm absolutely completely off on that. But my take is the less pressure you have going into overtime in the Super Bowl, the better. It's already a pressure cooker situation. Like the magnitude of that is insane. You could like being there at the state. Like I'm telling you guys, you can cut the tension. You could have cut the tension with a knife. It was literally that intense. Imagine being a player and you're like out there and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, there's a different rule in the over. I forgot. Can you tell me real quick? Like that's the whole issue with it. I'm sure they like, I don't know. It was a pressure cooker in there and the less stress you have on your mind, the better. That's the way, that's what I take on it. So not knowing the OT rules is a BS of an excuse. I'm sorry, but that's a no for me. I don't know if it's really an excuse, but it's just the way that they, again, he says he leaves it up to the analytics department. If I'm a coach, I'm telling my players everything every day. Like, I don't care if they get tired of hearing the same nonsense. Just tell them, man. I don't know. That's my take on it. Again, I could be completely off base. That's just my take on it. Let's see.
Much of this falls on a quarterback to deliver a Super Bowl. So what did you take away from how Brock handled the Super Bowl and how he handled the aftermath of it?
I thought Brock was unbelievable. I mean, it's, everyone has plays in a game, every single person that you want to take back. But Brock not turning the ball over in that game, making a number of plays, taking us down there to take the lead earlier on. I mean, at the very end of the game to take us down to take the lead. I thought, we didn't get it done, so all of us obviously could have done another thing. But I was real happy with Brock played and real happy with how he played this year. And I thought Brock was unbelievable. I mean, one of the most impressive seasons I've been around for a football player and a quarterback. And he was just a stud through it all.
How much room for improvement is there for Brock? Like, what are areas you'd like to see him improve, and how much can having an actual full off season without surgery and all that help him?
I think just Brock, every time, when I say like Brock's a real guy, it's because when he does something, when he makes a mistake or he does something well, he always understands why. It never seems just fortunate. He processes it very well. The way he approaches practice and games is always the same. And so Brock just, anything that he struggled with this year when we watch cut-ups together, he needs time to correct it, but those are things he'll figure out that he struggled with because we'll be able to put it all on tape and show him, and he'll see it right away, and he'll get that done throughout OTAs and have a good by training camp. I mean, that's how he was last year mentally. Some of the things he would see that he struggled with during the year that we couldn't quite correct during the year because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practices aren't really like that. It's hard to develop some of that muscle memory and things. You're just trying to get through the game plan and get ready for a new defense. But I remember last year when he saw some things and he would just be like, man, now I see it all together. Like, I'll be all right when I come back. And we didn't know because he was hurt, but by the time he got in training camp, he had it solved. You do it in your backyard. You figure it out. Like, it's got to click, though, and you got to see it and you got to feel it. And that's what was so cool with going through it with him last year.
So, yeah, it's good to hear him, actually be happy about his quarterback. I think that was another takeaway from this that, I was really happy with. Obviously, there's so many different things going on with this press conference. There was a lot to be like, damn, I can't believe they said that. But there was a lot of good things, and especially Brock, man. You can see Kyle really loves this guy. They got their quarterback of the future. And it's nice to hear that, we're rolling forward with our quarterback. And I'm happy because how many years have we sat here and we don't know what the hell the quarterback. Remember the time where Kyle says, I don't know who's going to be alive on Sunday. Who's going to be the quarterback? I don't know. We're going to compete. So it's nice going into an offseason knowing who the damn starting quarterback is going to be. And, like, knowing you have a guy that's going to get better a young quarterback that has a very bright future, good head on his shoulders. Like that to me is something that I'm like, man, this is going to be a great team for many years. And there is a lot of hope. Like, yeah, I know it's tough. We didn't win a Super Bowl. We wish that we would have. We wish we'd be holding up those banners and all that stuff, getting the ring ceremony, all that, blah, 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 blah. But we got a chance to can do it in the future because we have Brock Purdy. So I'm happy. I'm happy that Kyle's happy for his quarterback. He got his guy. Just needs to figure out how to get over the hump. So this one right here, I'm going to play this last clip by Kyle Shanahan, and then I got a few more clips I want to share just on some of the other players for you guys. But this one right here, Kyle got a little pissed off at the end, and I don't blame him.
I'm sure this isn't a surprise, but people say, well, now it's proven you can't win the big one. But Andy Reid couldn't win the big one, and your dad couldn't win the big one, and there are a lot of coaches that were like that. Does having that perspective of history, particularly family history, help, or do you even worry about the perception?
I mean, you'd love to fix perception because I would love to win one for what I know about football and stuff. And I know if I fix perception, that means I did everything I wanted to do, which isn't fix perception. It's win a damn Super Bowl. But I also know, like, when you say big games, like, we've got to win a bunch of big games to get to Super Bowls. We've won a lot of big games here. We've won a lot of big games to get into playoffs. The fact that we keep getting there shows you guys how much we've been win games or big games, and I think you guys are aware of that. But it's, these 2 Super Bowls have been tough, losing to Kansas City. But to think that if we win that means I can win a big game. No, that means our team won the Super Bowl. That's what I understand. You guys can have any narrative you want, but like the success or the failure, it comes down to one game. And I hope that I can be a part of a team that wins a game at the end of the year. But to say that the Niners can't win a big game, it would be an extremely inaccurate statement.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Kyle got a little salty at the end there. But I mean, that was kind of a tough question, like tell him he can't win. I know they wanted to say the big game, the Super Bowl, but Kyle took it as they've won a lot of big games, and he's right. They've gotten so many, like the game against the Lions, man. Nobody wins that. That was one of the biggest comebacks of all time. The game against the Packers, like he has won a lot of big games to get to the Super Bowl. He just can't get over the hump and win that big game. I feel bad for Kyle because, man, that was a slap in his face. Like, that was definitely a slap in the face. Like, no matter if you like Kyle or not, damn, that was a loaded question, man. That was a tough one, man. I mean, he's gotten so close. Again, we talked about the Andy Reid stat, him and Andy Reid so close. But, until he gets over the hump and he wins that Super Bowl, he's going to be discredited. People are going to say a lot of stuff about the Niner fans. They're going to hate us, and that's unfortunate. Until the 49ers break this slump. It's 29 years and counting now. I feel like at that point of that conversation, at that interview, I think all his emotions got to him, and that question really slapped him in the mouth, man. He knows he's been so damn close. The 28-3 debacle, he's been so damn close, man. And to ask him a question like that, I felt like that was the appropriate response. And maybe, I mean, again, he hasn't won the big one. I get it. That's a guy that needs to prove himself. But man, oh man, like put yourself in Kyle's shoes. I probably would have got up and slapped the reporter like, damn, bro. So that's tough. That's tough, man. So let's take a look at some of what the other players said around, the locker room. I'm going to play their thoughts, and then we'll kind of close in on that. See what Brock Purdy had to say. He said a lot of good things.
Just to, sort of work on my craft, get a real legit offseason in. Obviously last year, season ended, surgery, rehab, trying to get back for the season. So it was just all so fast and going a million miles an hour. So for me to be able to take a step away for a little bit and then I think just work on my mobility, obviously continuing with my arm strength and all that will be huge for me. So I'm excited, to get better, like truly get better at my craft.
Yeah.
It happened, throughout the game, like second half. I just wish, we would have been on.
the opportunities that we had with, their turnovers or our defense getting stops, I just keep thinking about, those 3 and outs that we had, and what an opportunity we had to go take control of the game. And so there's a couple plays where, I think I would have hit BA on some of the reads. But outside of that, it's just a culmination of the whole game. Like, you could have done a million things right. And so, at the end of the day, it's a team sport, man. And as a team, I think we all could have done a little bit better in some areas and stuff. But, we win and lose together. So.
When you woke up Monday morning, what was the first thing you thought
of? Obviously the game. Us. How we came up short. Obviously it's a sucky feeling, but I also am trying to have the perspective of, all right, this is happening for a reason. It's all part of all of our stories and stuff and our testimonies. So that's sort of the hope that I have for it, and more than anything, just being grateful for the kind of season that we had with the guys in this locker room, this team, this organization. We got to the Super Bowl, we went to overtime, we fell short of it. It sucks. We wanted it. We gave our all this year. But man, I had the opportunity to do it with some really good people, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, so Brock, put a lot of perspective in there. He wishes he could get some of those throws back. Obviously, he fell short on a couple big plays here and there. At the end, he led the team down, drove them to some scoring drives. And one thing that I really took away is he gets an actual offseason this year. He gets to get better, work on his arm strength. Last year, he was rehabbing. Like, to understand the magnitude, he injured himself in the NFC Championship game. He went through rehab. He started the season, and he went all the way and took this team to the Super Bowl. His first year as a starter, second year in the league. That's incredible. And now he has an actual offseason to get better. Sky's the limit, man. This guy's going to become even better this year. So that to me is amazing right there. So happy for Brock, and that's exactly what he said. He's going to get better. And, another guy that's going to get better this year that doesn't have a lot of distractions is Nick Bosa.
Or how much does your offseason change now where you can just go about your business?
Yeah, it's just a lot easier that you have the timetable and you know how to set up your training to be peaking at the right time. And it's good to know I'll be here for a long time.
How much in retrospect did that affect you maybe at the beginning of the season?
I think it did, mentally and performance-wise, just not having practice and kind of like, I think my hands kind of get going later once I start using them a lot. It kind of takes time to get the timing down, and that's the biggest thing with practice. And then, just the stress of having that looming, and then the pressure initially once you get it. And I kind of worked through all that towards later in the year. Started to feel better. And I think I was playing my best ball towards the end.
Yeah, so Nick Bosa, he definitely said that he'll be better this year because he did play a lot better towards the end of the season. I don't know if you guys really saw that second half, especially the Super Bowl. He was really more, just lively out there, a lot more mobility. And I think he's right. The offseason really hurt him last year in terms of focusing. He was really trying to get that contract and everything. And now he doesn't have to worry about that. I think we're going to see Nick Bosa Defensive Player of the Year type again this year. He's going to be more focused. He can really focus on, training and getting better and hitting that next level where he really didn't last year. He was trying to be careful and safe so he didn't get hurt. So that's good to hear, man. Nick Bosa is going to come back better than ever, man. He's going to be better than ever. So I'm hyped up for Big Nick. I expect him to have another Defensive Player of the Year type season. That's a guy that he's going to get better too. I remember Fred Warner, he signed the contract, kind of had a down year. And then he came back to a high level. So I kind of see the same thing happening with Big Bosa. Those guys, sometimes the contract hurts them. And then after that, they go back to their top status. And I think that's going to have to happen with with Bosa. I see some of the comments there. I feel bad for these guys too. It sucks to see them sad. I see Julia says trade for Tristan Wirfs. If 49ers can get Tristan Wirfs, I'll be a happy man. Please make it happen. That would be fantastic. Absolutely would love it if they can get Tristan Wirfs. Let's hear from George Kittle and Fred Warner.
Yeah, just guys that are, made of the right stuff, guys with high character. It's not easy. I'll say that. I stand up here talking about it as if like, oh, I guess Fred's good, but it stays with you all the way. Even back in 19 when we lost that one, that stays with you. It gets easier, but it's going to stay with you all the way through. And the thing that that gives me hope is knowing how much it means to me, how much it means to his organization, how much it means to Kyle and the players and John, and like the things that make up a championship team. I know we have those things. You gotta act the way of a champion before you are a champion, and so I know it's not a thing of if, it's just when. And it sucks that it wasn't this time, because it should have been. But like I said, not if but when.
Do you see it as a big-time championship contender that a huge amount of the core is coming out?
I would say so. I mean, I feel like we have a lot of guys who are still on contract. Brock's on his rookie deal. I think we have a lot of guys who play football at a very high level. And so, yeah, I have Nick Bosa coming back, right? Yeah, I think we can win a lot of football games.
You could just tell they're so dejected, man.
The experience of having played in the Super Bowl give you a different kind of hunger to get back there, or same as it always was?
Yeah, I think you're always hungry. That's the feeling you always want. I think when you get there, you now know what the deal is. But I think it definitely makes you more hungry, and it definitely hurts worse.
Yeah, man. Look at Fred, CMC, Kittle. I mean, the pain in their eyes, their voice. You can feel it, man. I feel bad for these guys. They really work their ass off. And, there's a couple questions I saw. Is BA going to have that downside? I hope not. I hope he doesn't have a downside after he gets paid. But it does happen a lot. When players are focused on getting money, they don't train as, hard because they don't want to get injured. So that's the thing with Brandon Aiyuk. They got to take care of it early because then it's going to linger if they don't. And we saw what happened with Debo. We saw what happened with Bosa, with Fred Warner. Those guys kind of fell down a little bit after the contract. They did pick themselves up, but this is what John Lynch had to say about it.
What kind of plan is there for Brandon Aiyuk this offseason, and is extending him a top priority for you?
Yeah, you have to prioritize all these things. Brandon's entering his fifth-year option. Brandon's been a fantastic player for us. Kyle calls him a warrior all the time because of the way he goes out and competes, and that shines through anybody who, whether you're a trained eye or whether you're a fan, you can see the passion he plays with. You can see the production that he's had. We're extremely, prideful in what he's become, and he should be as well. And so, your team is comprised of guys, veterans who've been paid very well, of guys who want to be played very well. We got one guy on our team who, is pretty prominent, who can't be played very, real well right now because the CBA doesn't allow. So it's all one big puzzle. We've developed a good cadence over the years, Kyle and I, where he focuses on the season. We do all the planning, and then we present things to him, and we work through it. And that's what we'll continue to do. But, of course, you want a guy like Brandon Aiyuk to be a part of you going forward.
Yeah, he's right. You want a guy like Brandon Aiyuk to be part of you, part with you. You want him on the team, man. And you could just see they're going to try everything they can. I don't think that they're not going to bring him back, but I think my biggest takeaway is John Lynch. I know you're not listening, but if you are listening, my message, if I had a chance to talk to John Lynch and sit him down and be like, hey, man, get this done early, because I don't want to have this whole contract situation linger into the offseason, into training camp, and then he's not practicing, because players aren't going to go and practice if they don't have that extension in mind, because they don't want to get hurt. They want to have that security locked and loaded. So that's tough, man. I don't want to see Brandon Aiyuk not train hard. I mean, he's a tough guy. I'm sure he will train, but again, their safety, their agents are going to tell him certain things. Their PR guys, all these people are going to say, hey, look, this is what you need to do. He's going to have a lot of people in his ear. And even if he wants to train, even if he's trying to train, all those distractions in your mind make it hard to focus. You're not really training like you normally do. Normally, you block out all the noise. You're training to go make sure that you are the best version, to prove, oh, I'm worth the money. I'm worth the money. But when you're not getting the money, you're getting people to tell you, okay, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. So it's hard to block out all the noise. And like VZ says, extend him now. Pay Brandon. Just pay him now. I get it. There's a lot of logistics, and I understand, because we talk about this every year. And I'm going to tell you down the line in a couple of weeks, hold on tight. Be patient. There's a lot of logistics. There's this and that. But without the logistics, throw logistics out the window. Sign the man right now. Yo, John Lynch, sign him right now. So, yo, John Lynch, here. I'm gonna send you a check. It probably will bounce, but I'm gonna send you a check. I need you to sign Brandon Aiyuk and Juwan Jennings right now. I don't care about the rest. Sign those two up. Have a great night. That's what I would do. Bottom line. Last two videos I want to play. This is what Debo had to say.
The last 48 hours been like for you?
It's been rough. Real rough. Like, it hit me and then it go away. Then it hit me again, and it's just like, it don't even feel like so real right now.
Does this feel like the toughest of these losses the last several years?
Yeah. Like, it's a different type of feeling. Like I don't even have the answer. I don't know. Like, can't even describe it. It's like one of the biggest heartbreaks you'll deal with.
That's rough, man. Debo down bad, man. And people trashing Debo. Him and Kittle, I know they didn't really play the way we thought they would, but they're all part of this team, man. They're all Niner fans. If you're Niner faithful, if you love this team, if you bleed red and gold, you got their back, man. It sucks. They didn't play like we thought they would. But they're still, they're still the guys on the team that we root for, man, red and cold, till we dead and cold. And I got their backs, man. It sucks. They didn't play, They didn't put up big numbers. But they're part of this team, and they're part of the reason that the Niners got where they were, man. You got to love this team, man, 100%. And lastly, I'm going to play this video. So as we know, Armstead, it was reported today that he actually suffered a meniscus injury, and he played through it, through the playoffs, man. Absolute warrior. People trash on Armstead, but when he's in there, man, he's a top-notch defensive lineman. He balled out in the Super Bowl, man. So credit to him. He played through an injury that he suffered after the Eagles game. This is the video of him addressing the media.
The Philly game, I tore my meniscus and didn't know if I was going to be able to come back, and was, put in a lot of hard work to get back for the playoffs. And, so I'm going to have to get that taken care of. So still figuring that out. Yeah, it's going to be a little time.
What's your goal as far as when he's back? Training camp or regular season?
We'll see. The time window should be around then for training camp. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's what I was dealing with, and wouldn't have missed this run for anything. I'm glad I was able to get back and help my team get to the Super Bowl and try to win one. Like I said, our team is too special, and I wouldn't have missed that for anything.
What was your pain level playing after that tear?
Everything has pain involved, but it was difficult. Really wasn't all the way myself, but was glad to be out there and contribute in some way.
Man, that's tough, man. You got to give Armstead credit. A lot of people trash on his name, but absolutely agree with what Max says. Armstead's the most underappreciated guy, man. He's a dirty worker in there. He does the dirty work, the trench work. Very underappreciated, underrated player, man. I know people hate him because they got rid of Defoe and they kept him, but he's a baller, man. He played his ass off in the Super Bowl. And the fact that he played through that meniscus injury, that's dope, man. That's crazy. He tried he strapped it up, man. He played so this team could win a Super Bowl. Like, he wasn't going to sit and not contribute. Like, that's crazy, man. He played through it. He's got to have surgery. It's going to be a long offseason. They definitely need to address the defensive line position. I think because of that injury, you might keep Javon Kinlaw. Actually, now that I think about it, with that injury, I think they do keep Javon Kinlaw for a year. Prove it deal, man. Give him a year. Bring him back, because Armstead may not be 100% when the season starts. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's a big question, because he's got to go through rehab, the surgery, everything. It's tough. Even if he's ready for training camp, he might not play in training camp. He's going to be a little bit behind when the season starts. So they absolutely need to get defensive tackles this offseason. And Clelin Ferrell's a free agent, and he had the same injury, meniscus tear. So Javon Hargrave, he'll be there, but, he's getting older. He played through a torn thumb ligament according to John Lynch today as well. So it's tough, man. These injuries hit you hard. This team fought hard, and you wish they would have won it because who knows what's going to happen next year. It's hard to climb up the mountain again. You got these injuries. You got Armstead's hurt. Are they going to be able to pay Brandon Aiyuk? Are they going to bring back Juwan Jennings? What's going to happen with this team? What the hell's going to happen with the offensive line? And that today is basically the offseason in a nutshell. And that's why I wanted to present it this way. All the clips, we talk about it. And now where does the 49ers stand? What do we need to do, ladies and gentlemen? And with that being said, the rest of the couple of months is going to be wild. It's smoke season. It's the off season. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. The off season, again, rears its ugly head without a championship. What do the 49ers need to do to get up the mountain and over it this time? We got up the mountain, but we could not get over it. What do we need to do, ladies and gentlemen? You heard all the news. You heard all the comments from the players. They're dejected. They need some time to rest. What is going to happen? Man, it's going to be a wild time. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Much love and respect to you, Christine, and all the faithful. I appreciate you guys for giving me the platform. We're going to be here during the off season talking everything we need to know, everything we need to do. But yeah, Elliot says back to the drawing board, right? This is going to be another long off season. Just when you thought it wasn't going to be, it is going to be another crazy off season. My man, extremely depressed Niners fan says, Raj, are we praying for your mental health? I want you to pray for my mental health because honestly, oh man, it is not good. It is not good right now. I need a break, but hopefully there's some downtime in the off season. I'm going to take some vacations this year. There's going to be times where I don't post. Like last year, I kind of went MIA for like a month, man. And I might do that again this season. Honestly, don't care if I lose engagement of followers. Sometimes you just need to take that time off, man. But appreciate you guys. I love you. That was everything that happened today in a nutshell. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. Tej Beat says we need Jair Alexander. Sign him up. Let's get him. I want Jair. Let's see. Ted, what else? VZ says, I hope this loss doesn't carry into the next season. Bro, that 100%. Same here. I do not want this to carry in to the next season, man. That would be horrible. But with that being said, we've done an hour tonight. I'm exhausted. I got to finish up some work stuff and get taken care of some stuff. Get ready for tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your night. I love you. Bang bang. Niner gang. You guys have a blessed one. And before we leave, real quick, I know the vibes are low. I know everybody's a little upset. I know everybody's sad. Trust me, I'm sad. I'm upset. I wish we would have won. I was at the game. I saw the damn, Mahomes winning Super Bowl touchdown right in my face. Right in my face. I had stupid confetti, Chiefs confetti falling to my head. And I said, I don't want this. I know how you feel, but keep your head up. There's bigger things in life than football. I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but trust me, you guys are healthy. You're breathing. You're living. You're up above ground. You have health and wealth. Maybe not wealth, but you guys are healthy. You have family. Make sure you spend a lot of time with your family this off season. I say it every year. Do not take this time for granted. Guess what? Sundays are free. Use it. Go out. Do stuff. Eat. Go to the beach in the summer. Go have a little trip, man. Trippy trip. Go camping. Spend time with your loved ones, your family. You got a rocky relationship? Go spend time with your wife because next year, if you want to have time for football Sundays, she'll appreciate the time, your girl or your boy or whatever. They'll appreciate the times that you put in during the off season so you can enjoy the football season. So enjoy the off season. It is painful without football, but there's some good parts of it. You can go on vacation, go on a cruise, whatever you guys have wanted to do, go fucking do it. Like, that's what I'm telling you to do. You live one life. As I got older, I realized, man, you got to enjoy this shit. I'm going to have a birthday in April, and I'm going to travel the shit out of this year. So you guys have a good one. Take care. Enjoy the off season. Get outside. Stay out of that. Don't stay in the house. Yeah, have a trippy trip. Go touch some grass. Man. You're right, Mitt5. It makes the return of football so much better. When you're out there grinding and having fun, you're going to miss football instead of just sitting in your house crying, I want football back. Go out there. Have some fun. It was a hell of a season. I wish it would have ended better, but honestly, I had a great time talking to you guys, posting content, and it's not going to stop. For me, it's still going to go. But for you guys, take a step back, enjoy the off season, spend some time with your loved ones, and Niners will be back in no time. You guys have a good one. I love y'all. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Cha, 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 cha. F them Chiefs.